This is Kate at the Library of Whispers, and today we are going to look at this gorgeous Ology book, Vampireology. Got a gorgeous cover, silver with red jewels. The true history of the fallen ones. Now first, I'm going to light some candles. Here we go. I've got 3 candles to light. So, the picture on the front is a vampire with his victim. Now, on the back of the book, we have an explanation. It says, "This is the book of those who fell from grace, the blood drinkers or vampires, who have lived amongst us since the earliest days. This is not folklore or fantasy. This is the nightmare to which humankind must wake, the true history of the fallen ones." And that's signed The Protector, 1900. Okay, so let's open the book up and see what we find. Okay, I'm going to move my candle slightly. So we have 2 pages here. There is a written note, typed. We'll read that in a minute. So, Vampireology, The True History of the Fallen Ones, by Archibald, The Protector, 1900, with additional notes by Joshua E. Cash, Templar Company. Says the publisher would like it to be known that there is little evidence to support the sensational stories of blood drinkers inscribed within these pages. However, due to the recent surge of interest in vampires and their relationship with humans, is now in the hands of the police, but they are unaware of what I now believe may be the circumstances of his death, and I shall not enlighten them until I have the facts at hand. My erstwhile colleague Archibald was a secretive man, and one whose public guise of a venerable academic masked a covert and dangerous. Existence. Brooks had warned me beforehand that, should I arrive too late, I must look in the concealed cupboard. After some searching, I located it and found therein a number of items, including a book, which has since proved to be a revelation. You know me to be no coward and no slouch in a fight, but the things I have read over the last few weeks have made my blood run cold, and I have found myself overtaken by events of a bizarre nature. The book points me towards southern Europe, and I depart tomorrow. If my worst fears are confirmed, I may even need to send this volume to you and Elsa for safekeeping. Should this happen, do everything to protect it. Morris, do not let it fall into the wrong hands. In the meantime, please have funds available from my account to wire to me in a variety of European currencies. Some time ago I furnished you with my wishes regarding my effects. These have not changed. I very much hope that my fears are unfounded, and that I shall return alive and well in a few weeks. Your friend, Joshua T. Craig. Okay, so let's have a look over this side. So, here we can see the business card of Joshua T. Craig, private detective. Unsolved murder or theft, unexplained disappearance. Apply in writing or in person to 5B High Holborn, London. And then this is her post office telegram. It says, I must speak to you urgently. I fear that my life is in danger. Come to the museum. If you are too late, look in the concealed cupboard. Brooks. And then on this side we have a photograph. Okay, I'm going to bring this up to the camera so you can see it better. There we go. So it is a photograph of a Bible, and then this picture of this couple here says happy memories of times before the turning, London 1876. Let's have a look underneath. Okay, so it says casket contents, a book entitled The True History of the Fallen Ones. This letter from Brooks addressed to me. So it's all the different bits and pieces that we're going to find in this book. And this letter says, my dear friend, and it's dated the 10th of May, 1920. My dear friend, they have found me, but that is of no matter. I am a man of the past. You are the future. However, before you can face the future squarely, it is imperative that you take the time to learn from the past. Read the book and study the items in the casket. Craig, the book is penned by my own hand, and it is the truth. You must understand how real a threat the fallen ones pose. They infiltrate every aspect of our daily lives. I completed this book some time ago. Now let me see, there is an vampires have insinuated themselves into every corner of human society. They have been clever down the years at their concealments, so much so that we do not fear them as we should, capable that they are of eradicating our kind forever. Instead, we have romanticised them, viewing them not as terrifying reality but a glamorous fiction. Now the time has come for the hideous truth to be revealed, so long kept secret by my predecessors and the inner circles of allies, convinced as they were that these vicious blood drinkers could be kept at bay. As the world's protector, I sense that the time has come for all men and women to become protectors in their own right. This book is therefore a practical guide to dealing with the undead for any who have the courage and strength to join our ranks and fight. It is also the true history of vampires from ancient times to the present day, and it acts as an answer to the weakened accounts of vampire history told to us by Abraham Stoker and his ilk. Be certain this is not a child's game. It is a war, and we face the enemy's heavy assault dressed in our human weakness. The truth contained within these pages will be your armour and sword as you enter this ancient battle in defence of humanity. Okay, so that's not stuck down. So here we have my dear friend Brooks. So he was the original maker of this book. And then there is a note. It says London, the 12th of May, 1920. Now it's interesting because it's actually the 12th of May today. The 12th of May, 2021, which is 101 years exactly to the day. I, the next protector. What nonsense is this? I knew that Brooks had an interest in the darker side of myth and legend, but I now see that his belief in it went deeper than I ever thought. How I wish he was here to explain it to me, for I am finding it hard to believe that the book in front of me is fact rather than fiction, yet it appears to have been written by my own friend, a man whose word I trusted above that of all others. Okay. So what else do we have? We have a picture of sweet almond Archibald Brooks, 1830 to 1920, and it says, Archibald Brooks, a noted historian who devoted his life to the study of the supernatural, was found dead in suspicious circumstances on the night of the 10th of May. At his offices in the British Museum, Brooks was born in Islington, London in 1850. Okay, sorry, so that should have been 1850 to 1920. Difficult to see. To Alexander, a captain in Her Majesty's Navy, and his wife Elizabeth. After reading history at Oxford, Brooks entered the civil service in 1873 and served with distinction in the Foreign Office until 1897. Since that time, Brooks undertook various assignments for the Foreign Office, but mainly devoted his energies to his work in the Department of Anthropology at the British Museum. His particular specialities were death rituals and the afterlife in various world cultures. Archibald Brooks was unmarried and leaves no issue. Okay, now what's underneath? There is an advert for teeth. Okay. Right, so let me show you this picture a bit closer. There we go. And the picture says, vampires have adopted many different guises throughout history, which have been both worshipped and feared by different cultures, from left to right. Manigal. Okay, Manigal. Chang, Shi, Lilith, Kupagabra, and Rakshara. Okay. What humans already know about vampires? For the cynics amongst you, consider this. Stories concerning vampires have been present in every culture of the world for centuries. Using many guises, the fallen ones have concealed their true identities, hiding behind romanticised lore and legend. Although I find much fault with such lore, not all cultural depictions of vampires should be dismissed. Many stories passed down for centuries contain some truth, though there are too many old tales of the fallen to recount them all here. The mere fact that almost all cultures have some form of ancient myth regarding vampires should be enough to convince skeptics that there is an element of truth at their core. Asia and Europe. Chang, Ship, meaning hopping corpse, is the popular name given to vampires in Chinese myth. These vampires were given this name when they were spotted down dark alleyways, waving their animated limbs to create large, terrifying shadows. I cannot offer an explanation for this strange behaviour, though I can confirm that these creatures are from the fallen bloodlines. The notion that Chang Shi have difficulty crossing water is, however, untrue. Hindu cultures have many names for vampires. On some Indonesian islands, blood sacrifices are still made to the Rakshasa, and it is widely believed that these creatures are demons who consume human flesh. As well as blood, the same region of the world tells stories of the Mananjagao, a witch that can separate its upper torso discussion of ghouls can be found in vampire relationships with the undead. The Americas. Not long ago, I was asked to travel to North America to investigate a number of grisly killings on the southern border. I discovered that the goblin-like culprit was known to the natives as the Chupacabra. I can confirm that this beast is a vampire. The notion that this creature consumes the flesh of its victim is, however, a fallacy. Okay. In the beginning of time. Now let's see, so here we have a shard from the Sword of Angels. And it says, this is the first shard from the Sword of Angels found by Saladin, Protector, from the mid-12th century. Guard it well. Now over here we have another little note from the notebook which says London, 13th of May, 1920. So much of what I thought I knew about the world is being tested as I read these pages. I imagine that the weight of this knowledge on Brooke's shoulders must have been great. If what he says is true, I pray that the knowledge I gain here will keep me alive if I am to carry out the duties of the Protector. I still know little about this role, but hope that these pages will enlighten me as I read on. The origins of vampires date back to the time before time. According to the legends of heaven, the creatures that we now call vampires were descended from three angels, Moloch, Baal, and Belial, who rebelled against God and fell from his grace. God sent a host of angels, led by the Archangel Michael, to battle the three rebels on the clouds of heaven. The battle lasted 3 days. Michael and his host prevailed, and the three were slain, their bodies burned and cast down to earth. These three fallen ones should have passed out of memory, but wandering tribes on earth found their smouldering ashes and began to worship them. This revived the creatures, who woke with a terrible thirst for blood. They drank deeply of the blood of humans and, refreshed, set out to seek revenge against heaven. An appetite for blood stayed with them. It was the nectar that sustained and nourished them. They each went their separate ways to spread the curse of bloodthirst throughout the world, but before they parted, they agreed to the rule of the three. They stated that each of the vampires was permitted to create 3 progeny of chosen ones, who would be transformed to feed on human blood. Each of these chosen could in turn create 3 of its own progeny. This rule ensued that vampire numbers would not overwhelm human populations. As the fallen wished for human blood to remain available always, to save them from having to feed on less tasty animals, Baal the deceiver insinuated himself into the hearts and minds of men, submitting them to mind control and making them serve his needs. Moloch the destroyer declared war on humankind, murdering for the sheer pleasure it gave him. Belial, the tortured, retreated to the earth's remote places to dwell on the let's have a look at this picture. Let me show it to you a bit closer. There we go. So these are the three fallen angels: Moloch, Baal and Belial. Okay. Then in this picture here we have the battle between Michael and the three West Heavens' bloodiest encounter. Let me show you that a bit closer as well. There we go. The Protector, as the curse of the fallen spread throughout the earth, Michael set out to find one who could stand between humanity and vampires. He found among mortals a protector, a strong man, a hero, who counselled him in the ways of the vampire. For his time on earth, the Protector was to be custodian of the true knowledge of vampires. He was changed with the destruction of these blood drinkers and ordered to seek out other creatures of the night to fight against them. When his days came to an end, he was to appoint a successor to take up his mantle. So began the line of protectors, men with gifts of courage and intellect who would take the fight to the fallen ones. It was a hard and thankless task. The four shards. This is obviously one of them. Okay, let's see what this says. After Archangel Michael's battle with the fallen ones, the shards of his sword fell to the four corners of the earth. Legend tells us that in each of these corners a great and beautiful garden sprang forth, an echo of paradise itself. And the heart of each garden was a silver birch tree, majestic and shining, which grew in the very spot where the shards fell. Over time, humans became blind to the beauty of the gardens, and the knowledge of these locations was lost. But deep beneath the earth, the source of the tree's power remains. It is the Protector's task to find the lost shards and make them one again. With this task complete, the vampire will be destroyed for all eternity. Okay. So, let's have a look at the next page. And here we have a map, the spread of the curse. Okay, so I am going to leave it there, and next time we'll come back and take a look at the map. Hope you enjoy that little look at Vampireology. This has been Kate at the Library Whispers saying I shall see